I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I can't take this no more. I am beyond depressed. For what he's done to me, for what he's done to all of us, to my friends, my family.
I can't take this no more, man. I can't do it. You know, that's what Cyrax sounds like right now. You know, his spirit is broken. He's shattered. He's like this dark fallen angel type. I don't know what he's trying to pull, but he's being very dramatic. And he thinks that the end of his music career is the end of the world, in which, you know, I guess it's the end of a piece of his world. I mean, he still has a lot of different things going, not really going for him, but he has a lot of other things that he cares about, like his Xbox and his computer and his Xbox. I don't really think Sally's on the list of things that he cares about, but Cyrax is here to tell us about how the trolls are still messing with him and how Willem Gloryhole is stopping him from get a job. And earlier this morning, he was telling his entire life story again and again. He was talking about how this entire thing is one big conspiracy against him, and that everything was a big, long setup for the years to come. And it's just him talking about how he's the victim all the time, and that the trolls are the reason that he sent certain photos to someone. You know, if you know, he obviously did some things that were very creepy with people that weren't considered adults. So that's wild. That's wild, Cyrax. And he's gonna claim that it's fake and fake again, even though there's so much evidence overwhelming. It's flowing all over the internet. I mean, Cyrax himself has said that this has happened about 3 times prior, before Masshole Mafia catfished him. And, you know, if it happened that many times, Chance, that probably says something terrible about your character that we all know about.
I don't have a console. I don't have a PC. My family can't afford to get my Xbox or my PC fixed. And every time somebody tries, blackmails anyone who tries to help or steals from them. And I'll get tired of nobody having any answers. Every day that goes by, I get more and more depressed because nobody seems to have any answers. And I'm not mad at you guys. I'm not. But it seems like anytime anybody tries to help, they're either a troll or they don't have any answers like they say they do. And quite honestly, I'm getting fed up with it. I wish y'all knew how and have somebody find him that way. It's because I don't want to end up going to where he's at and catching a motherfucking charge.
That's kind of confusing on what he's saying there, but a lot of the audio in this little video he did is completely broken, and he just cuts in and out, and it sounds horrible, so I just sort of cut it out. To give you guys a rundown, he pretty much is saying that nobody has had it as hard as he, and that, you know, nobody else understands what that's like, and you guys should all help me. You guys should have the answers, and nobody's giving me the answers, which is just showing no responsibility. Cyrax, you're not taking responsibility for any of this. Why don't you solve your own problems? You know, not everybody is gonna help you with everything all the time. Hell, you'll be lucky if somebody helps you with anything at all at this point. But you wouldn't respect that or be grateful for that. I can't imagine. So, you know, little goblin, just keep running your mouth instead of your car.
Somebody needs to do something because I'm getting fed up with it. This is why we need some sort of outside help from some sort of law enforcement who will actually step up and do something instead of running us all around in circles. I can't do this anymore. I need to get my life back. And the only way that's going to happen is if somebody from the outside steps in, steps up, and actually does something. I need outside help.
Right then and there, he straight up says it, that he wants somebody to help him. Somebody to help him. Help me, please help me, help me. You know, that's what he's shouting to the stars, man. And I don't know who is going to help this little guy, because everybody who's tried to help Cyrax, either A, they get ran off by the trolls because the trolls don't want him helping Cyrax. Heck, I think 90% of everybody doesn't want him getting help really. But yeah, no, everybody who tries to help him either gets ran off, or Cyrax betrays them in some way, or is neglectful towards their needs. You know, I remember this one time Marty was threatening to dock Cyrax's friend, and Cyrax could have saved his friend if he just danced. And Cyrax wouldn't dance, he wouldn't do it, and his friend was about to get doxxed, and he just neglected that. It's gross neglect, you know? Like, Chance, you had an opportunity to easily help your buddy out and keep him and his family safe, and you chose to not take that route because you would have felt embarrassed. Wow, embarrassed. Like, oh my lord, his priorities clearly aren't straight.
I want to live my life again and be the person that y'all know I can be, that my family knows I can be, that I know I can be. I don't deserve to live in fear like this. Neither do any of you. None of you deserve what these have done to you, just like I don't deserve what they've done to me. And I think it's about goddamn time that we figured out some way to put a stop to these guys for good, to where they can't touch me or any of us ever again.
Cyraxx makes this grand statement on Facebook that their trolls need to be stopped by someone, law enforcement needs to get involved, and all this crazy stuff. I'm not sure why he's saying this, because he said it a million bagillion times. You know, he says this almost every other week, if not every other day, if not every day. So Cyraxx, after this, he comes back to the internet literally the next day. I mean, he made a video not that long ago, like a few hours ago, and we're about to cover it right here. He essentially tells his entire life story, but distorts a lot of the stuff, a lot of the details he leaves out. He doesn't really explain what really went on. I don't even know if he remembers exactly the things that have happened over the years, because his memory is just kind of shot. I don't know how much memory he actually carries. It's probably like 2 bytes, but we're gonna go ahead and get started.
So I'm here to finally come out and expose the troll community for what they've done to me, and explain my story fully to show what these people do and how evil they are. Back in 2017, I became a target of isolation, victimization, and illegal entrapment. See, I used to do this podcast with a former friend of mine, Ian, who went by the music artist name Bradley, back in 2017. But me and him ran a podcast called the Chill with the Boys podcast, where we would all hang out, yada yada yada. We'd have friends, other music artists on that we either worked with or enjoyed or listened to, whatever.
Okay, I have no idea what this Chill with the Boys podcast is. He's never appeared on anything like that from my memory. And I've been watching this little guy for about 3 years now. I've seen stuff from between 2018 to today. And never have I ever seen anything about Chill with the Boys podcast and him having other music artists on there and them hanging out and doing stuff. And, you know, I don't know who would really hang out with Cyraxx. I mean, the guy is like a brick wall. His social ability is not very high. He's not great to talk to, I imagine. So I don't think any interesting things can be even said on the podcast about anything. But I doubt that they had that many guests anyway, because, you know, who would want to be a guest to a show that's not getting anywhere with Cyraxx aboard, you know? Like, I don't know what kind of artist would put themselves through that, but Chance says that he's worked with artists before, which he hasn't. We all know this. Whoever would work with Cyraxx probably is just as bad of a musician as he is, which is pretty rare, but still. So this entire Chill with the Boys podcast, I don't know anything about it. He's probably claiming that he was part of something that he really wasn't. He does that a lot, where he'll just claim that he did something or he was part of a group, when in reality he's never even partook in their culture or done anything related to it.
And then there was this dude named Music Biz Marty that kept on popping up in the chat. Typical hater boy. Didn't think anything of it. You know, I just kind of ignored it. And then a couple more people came in saying, yo, this ain't the real Music Biz Marty. This dude's a fake, yada yada yada. And that grabbed my attention. So I was like, yo, let me go back and check out this Music Biz Marty dude and see what's up. I initially tried to find the real Music Biz Marty with no luck. I tried to find him, to reach out to him and be like, yo, there's this dude pretending to be you. you might want to say something or do something. Because I know if it was me, I wouldn't want anybody taking my content and pretending to be me. That's just weird.
Oh, yeah, don't pretend to be him, guys. Don't pretend to be Chance Wilkins, Like, oh my lord. Just the foreshadowing in Chance's life is absolutely amazing. This supposedly all started because someone called Marty out, claiming that was the fake Music Biz Marty. And now Chance has people pretending to be him on the internet, And that's weird to him. He doesn't understand why people would do that. But Chance would never understand any motivation about anything. He doesn't really think about what it might be like to be in another person's shoes and what their motivations might be. Chance only thinks about his motivations and what he wants immediately at that very second. And I guarantee it, him talking about ignoring Marty is just not a thing that happened. And Chance is still talking about him, thinking that he's still around. And it's just a bizarre obsession that he has.
And then I finally found this channel after digging and digging and digging and digging. So I hit him up. I was like, yo, dude, there's this guy pretending to be you. And this is back when YouTube had the whole messaging thing. And you could, message, people and whatnot. Like, not by comment or email, but like the actual thing like you would do on Facebook. So I hit dude up. I was like, yo, like, there's this dude pretending to be you. And he said, okay, thanks, yada, yada, yada. Well, later on down the road, I actually found out that was actually really him. And I found this out like way, way, way many years down the road. So fast forward a few years of that dude making on and off accounts before I knew that it was, really him. This dude would make on and off accounts just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I don't understand why Cyrax saw that in his stream chat or his comments or something of trying to find this new Music Biz Marty, the real one. It's like, why is this important to you? Why does this matter to you? Marty really was just a person in your comments before he became a major troll in your life. I mean, I do wonder what would have happened if Cyrax just got off the internet. I wonder what everybody would be doing right now, but Chance is not off the internet and he's still here to this day, so I can't really factor that in. That's just hypothetical. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I would have ended up being a doctor or something instead of a YouTuber. but I digress. It's just really interesting to hear what he has to say about what he talked about with Marty way back when. I guarantee it that he knew that was Marty eventually, way sooner than he's claiming. Like, he's saying that he only found out that all these alt accounts of Marty were Marty himself. It's like, are you really shocked? Are you really surprised? I mean, this guy has been literally harassing you with different accounts. I mean, like, I don't understand why you kept on hanging around him and telling him about all these fake Martys on the internet when actuality is just him, Like, I don't know, but it's Cyrax.
And then in 2019, I actually ended up dating my now ex-fiance, Heather. Well, there was this dude that kept running his mouth by the name of Juggalo John. And this dude had been harassing me for years on Facebook, on social media. The dude was just some weird random. And finally I broke down on a stream that me and Heather were on with our now friend, the real Miss Janie Nicole, who has unfortunately, since passed. Well, he kept on saying that he was down by the community center right here by my house. So I went down, like, I was geared up. Like, I had hand wraps on. I was fully prepared. Well, I sat there for about 5-10 minutes. Dude never showed. So I hopped back in the car, and we go on our way to the house. Well, me and Heather get back to the house, and me and her hop back on the live stream with Jamie and the others that she was hanging out with. Well, a student named Music Biz Marty hopped back on. And by that time, I had completely forgotten about Music Biz Marty by this point. I had completely forgotten about him. Didn't think anything of it.
Cyrax going to a park and going to try to fight somebody is never not funny to me. Just seeing him try to go out there and be the tough gangster that he always has dreamed to be is quite the hilarious image. Like, he's wearing these little fist wraps and he's just ready to brawl, you know? Like, he thinks it makes him look cooler and stronger and all that stuff if he's dressed up like an anime character. I'm sure he would do that again. Like, he'd put on the ninja costume and go outside and try to fight, you know, with, like, maybe he'll bring like a stick or something. Maybe he'll bring that katana on screen on the right side. But we'll just have to see if that ever happens. I sure as hell hope it does. I would love to see a Cyrax running around in a ninja costume and that wooden katana. That would be amazing. But Cyrax, there's no way you forgot about Marty. There's no way. You can't lie your way into this one. And besides, you're not even going to talk about how you mistreated Heather and the things that you said to her. Like, you've said so many messed up things to Heather that it's no wonder on why she left. You know, was she a phenomenal person? You know, the judgments are pretty low on that one, but the point is that Cyrax mistreated her very badly. I mean, it was horrible. He doesn't really treat people right, ever.
Well, he hops on panel, we start talking back and forth, and we end up getting into this whole banter thing, and then he kind of settled down after about a half hour. Well, this dude ended up making a fucking pass at me. And I didn't catch it because I was too busy talking to Jamie about, you know, projects I was working on at the time, music shit I was working on. And I didn't catch it. So Heather was like, yo, Marty just made a pass at you. And I was like, wait, what? And so I hop off stream with her. And I go to check out the video footage. And lo and behold, he did. So me and her end up hopping back on after a few minutes. And I'm like, what the is creepy, but, you know, I'll let dude down gently, you know, I'll let him down gently. And I did. I told him, I was like, hey, look, I seen that you made a pass at me or whatever, and I'm flattered, but I don't run that way. I'm not gay. Sorry.
Cyrax still believing that Marty has this crush on him is just, it's always funny to me, because it's just like, dude, no, he didn't. He was goofing on you. He even told you he was goofing on you after a while, that it was just one big joke, that he wasn't being for real, that he was just being sarcastic or trying to be witty or something. I don't know, but he told you it was a joke after a while, and you didn't believe him. You thought he really wanted you. And plus, wouldn't the proper answer to that be I'm married, or I have a fiance? You know, you were dating Heather at the time, so why did you say that you weren't gay when you were actually dating somebody? Like I don't think that's the factor that you should be worrying about. Okay, like, Cyrax, you were with Heather, that's what you should have probably said, but you probably didn't respect that anyway. I mean, Chance has been known to be a cheater, pumpkin eater anyway, so he probably didn't value Heather a whole lot.
And then later that same year in 2019, like mid 2019, around July, lo and behold, here comes Marty again. And me and him really get into it this time around. Like, we started going back and forth, on and off videos, the whole 9 yards. Well, little did I know that he would do something very, very, very diabolical. And bear in mind, this is where my disability for reading things wrong comes into play, because I do actually have a disability where I tend to read things wrong the first time around. Sometimes, not all the time, but in this instance, it really was kicking in that day fully. I don't know what it was, but it was hitting me hard that day, like, with everything. Like, I was misreading messages from friends on Facebook. I was misreading on Google that I was looking up for a friend of mine for an anime series that they wanted to get into. You name it. Like, it was acting up real bad that day. Well, there was a chick that hit me up. And me and her got to talking because she said she was a fan of my work. And I was like, bet, that's dope. You know, I appreciate that. And she had said that she had liked me. I asked how old she was in the chat. A lot of went down, but I asked her how old she was, and I thought she had said she was 18. I did. I genuinely thought she had said that she was 18. Well, she tricked me into sending certain photos, which I'll let your mind wander on that one. And I'm pretty sure you can guess, though. But I'll just let your mind wander. Well, as soon as she tricked me into sending those photos, she sent one back of who she claimed was her.
Okay, first of all, Chance, I'm going to stop you right there. Nobody tricks you into sending those kind of photos anyway. You chose to do that. You pulled out your phone, you got into your camera app, and then you got yourself ready to take those pictures, and then you pressed the send button, and then you allowed it to be sent on your phone. You had a lot of opportunities to prevent it. The fact that you didn't prevent it just shows that you really wanted to do it and that you completely were confident in your ability to do so and that nothing could go wrong when in actuality everything went wrong. And plus, we've seen the logs, Chance. You can't lie your way out of this one. There's entire zip files of your Discord logs and stuff out there. And that's the most recent stuff that's really come out. That was a couple months ago, I think. Well, last month. And you're going to claim that as false proof, that it's not real, that's fake, even though it's not even a screenshot. It's an entire file of the data. You know, it cannot be disproven that it was yours. But also, I'd like to point out something else. Chance doesn't mention Heather's child once. You know, Heather supposedly got pregnant after she left Chance's house, and Chance thought that that was his kid. Like, he really believed that it was his and not anybody else's. Like, Heather only was with him. And Chance doesn't even know how women get pregnant. Chance has said before that he thinks women get pregnant by swallowing instead of spitting. And that's just, wow, okay. You really know a whole lot about pregnancy, Chance. So I really highly doubt that that's his child, even if he could somehow conceive one anyway. I don't know. But I just think it's funny that he doesn't mention this kid that he supposedly believes is his son and that he supposedly loves so much.
Well, as soon as she sent her photo back, she claimed to. And I was like, what, dude? Like, what? Like, I was confused. I'm like, wait a minute. You just said that you were 18. Well, needless to say, because of that, police got called out here. They talked to me, the whole 9 yards. Basically said, oh, hey, you gotta be more careful who you talk to, yada, yada, yada. You know, they gave me the whole rundown, which I understood. But here's where it gets really f***ed up. That photo that she sent, I would later find out, last year actually, that photo that she sent was of her f***ing daughter. And as a result of that whole situation, those screenshots have been edited so many times by so many people that nobody really knows what's real and what's not, which I can understand. I can understand that. My reputation almost completely ruined.
Okay, Chance, if the screenshots are fake, then show the original logs. Just bring them up. Just show them, okay? That's a easy out for you with very little risk. I mean, if you can disprove the logs and show, like, hey, this is what happened, and screen record the entire log and show the real one, then you could disprove everything. But because you didn't do that, and you can't do that because you can't disprove what's actually real, what you did, and you're gonna keep coming on the internet proclaiming your innocence when you're guilty. Nobody respects that. Nobody likes that. Everybody believes that you're lying because you're like the boy who cried wolf. You just keep lying over and over and over again until everybody's confidence in you is just completely vanished. It's just not gonna be a good thing. But, you know, Cyrax has already gotten down into the deepest pits of the internet, and a lot of people are already after him, so I'm pretty much beating a dead horse here. But let's go ahead and continue here with this entire little story that Cyrax tried to tell us.
But because of that whole thing, my life's been flipped upside down in more ways than I can count. And then back in 2023, Tibbs TV would do something that was very fucked up. Now, I know it might not look it on the outside looking in, but back before, me and my dad, we didn't necessarily get along that well, but we still had a good relationship. Well, Tibbs TV ended up using that to blackmail me. He tried to do another sting through a guy named Wings 007. And when Wings tried to do the same thing, only he straight up pretended like he straight up was like years old. And because I had gotten tipped off by a couple friends of mine about this whole thing, I was like, yo, dude, I already knew. Like, I was like, yo, I know you're not. And I said these exact words. I know you're not. I know who you are, Wings 007. Why are you doing this?
Cyrax, you admitted to being a P3DO on stream, dude. You admitted that. And it was because Jenny and Gordon were threatening to take you to court over defamation because you were talking about Gordon and trying to destroy his name. And then on top of that, he says in the beginning of that clip that he and Gordon had a good relationship, though they didn't always get along, and that's just blatantly not true. Chance was the first one to disown Gordon after the whole 2014 camping incident. And if you don't know what that is, essentially in 2014, when Cyrax was 24 years old, he went out down to Florida and went to go hang out with Gordon and Jenny. And during that time, he had this huge freak out where he wouldn't shower and he wouldn't really do anything with Gordon and Jenny. He just wanted to stay on his phone. He didn't really converse all that much. He wouldn't eat the food that they gave him and bought for him, and so they ended up throwing it away, I guess. But the point is that he had this freak out where he thought one of his aunts passed, and he had this huge flip out, even though it was only a Facebook post. You know, it's not like he found an obituary or anything, but it's essentially his aunt saying that she's gone to heaven, and it's her with a bunch of dogs or something. I don't really know anything about it, but this is Jenny's account. And Cyrax, after that, kind of disowned his father. He claimed that his father, his stepdad Gordon, was putting alcohol in his drinks. His vodka, made him drink vodka without him knowing. And it's just like, how do you drink vodka without knowing? Vodka is such a strong alcohol value. It's like 40%, dude. Like, how do you not feel the burn? Like, I can barely drink vodka by itself as a shot, much less straight out of the bottle, which Cyrax kind of described it that way, that he drank straight out of the bottle. He was given like a tall glass of vodka, which, you know, I don't understand why you kept on drinking it if it tasted like vodka. It's a terrible taste. It's not good. It's not like it's juice and sweet or something. No, it's bitter and nasty and it burns. Like, I never will understand that statement. How do you get tricked into drinking vodka unknowingly? And besides, Chance, you were 24 years old. You could drink at the time. If he did slip alcohol in your drink, you would have found out immediately, especially a vodka of all things.
He decided to blackmail me because he knew that me and my dad were not on good terms at the moment, because my dad had just been on Music Biz Marty's panel and ended up disowning me. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was confused. And me still caring about my dad like I did at that time, I don't care about him anymore. But at the time, I still cared. You know, to me, he was still my dad. Well, needless to say, Tibbs used that to his advantage and was like, look, I'm going to give you two choices. You can either admit to, or option B is I can help your dad and his wife sue you for defamation of character and slander. And I'm sitting there thinking, what are you talking about? What do you mean defamation of character or slander? And he was all like, he went on this whole tirade of, oh, well, what you said was, you know, slander and defamation of character because they're saying this and they're saying that. And I kept telling him, bro, it's not defamation of character or slander. It's true.
No, Chance, it was defamation and slander. I like how he's dancing around the things that he said at the time. Essentially, he was calling Gordon a P3DO, and like something happened in a bathroom or something. He was told about this by someone, and it was just completely blatantly untrue. Essentially, what happened would have led to Gordon being arrested. You know, nobody gets away with something like that, especially in like a public restroom. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? It's such a weird thing that Cyrax made a claim about, and there was no evidence behind it, per usual. Cyrax usually is told something, and then he just sort of runs with it. He doesn't really think for himself or think about whether something's untrue about somebody or whether something isn't quite what it seems. No, if it's about people who he doesn't like, he's gonna immediately believe that it's true. And besides, Cyrax, at the time you didn't care about Gordon. You already disowned him years prior to him going on panel with Marty. I mean, you said it yourself. You said it in like 2018, 2019 that you were done with Gordon and that you didn't like him anymore. And it was all because of the whole camping incident at 2014 where you claimed all these different things that probably aren't true because you're a habitual liar. I've never seen you really tell the truth. You kind of dance around it. And the point is that you don't really care about Gordon whatsoever.
And then, you know, he hit me up and was like, look, like, why don't you just come on panel and talk, you know, and we'll hash it out. Well, little did I know that was a trick. He still persisted with the same thing. And by this time, I was just like, look, like, I don't want to go to court over my dad. I don't want to go to court with him. I love my dad. I still cared about him at that time. Didn't want to go to court to fight him. Because not only would that be not fair to him, it wouldn't be fair to me or my family, because he was mad about me telling the truth about what he actually did when I was in Florida. And, you know, how he got me drunk when I'd never drank in my life. You know, how he got me drunk without my knowledge or my consent. And how I had an infection in my leg so bad that he refused to take me to the hospital. And so I had to wait till I got back here after getting thrown out, after me and my wife got into it for no reason. And, you know, I got thrown out, I got brought back here, had to go to the hospital, got my leg lanced, yada yada yada. Needless to say, I was not feeling good for almost a month. It sucked.
Oh boy, you know, of course you would go to Florida, you would fly down there from Ohio while you have a leg infection. And besides, didn't you say that the doctors wanted you to walk around more because of the infection, that was going to help somehow? Which is just, wow, what great logic. Of course a doctor would tell you to do that. You know, you have a serious infection in your leg, don't lay down and rest for a while. No, you got to get up and start walking more. Like where does this logic come from? Who is telling him this, or does he just come to this own conclusion? I don't even know. But Chance, dude, stop lying. I hate it. This whole thing is one big lie. It's a farce. It's phony. You didn't care about Gordon at the time. You were screaming at him on panel. You were threatening to fight him and stuff. It wasn't good. You were very aggressive. Like, you absolutely despise the man. So don't make this whole claim that you cared about him and that you loved him and that you still do, because you don't. Your actions and words speak volumes higher.
And I told, you know, Tibbs this. I was like, look, everything I had said was true. Well, he still didn't believe me. So he was like, look, here's what you're going to do. You are going to either admit to being, or I'm going to help your dad and his wife sue you, and you will not be able to get out of this. I will help them, and they will win, and you will be charged and arrested. And by this point, I was so scared because I didn't know that the dude didn't have money. I didn't know that. I was scared. I didn't know. And I figured that, you know, if I just gave him what he wanted, that he would leave me alone. And so I gave him what he wanted. Not because I wanted to, but because I was made to. And that's why people keep on saying, like, oh, he's a self-admitted. I'm not. I was forced into that. And like I've always said, and I've stood my ground on this too, the only reason why I gave in to Tibbs and him doing that is because I didn't know. I had no idea that he did not have that kind of power. But I didn't know. I was scared.
You know, this is one of the few moments where Cyrax tells us that he's scared of somebody. I mean, he was crying during the Tibbs saga. He cried at the end of it whenever Tibbs abandoned him and didn't want to be his friend anymore because Cyrax admitted to his sins. And we all know what those sins are by this point. And, you know, the alternative motive would have been helping Ginny and Gordon get Cyrax to court. And, you know, if Cyrax was brought to court, I'm not sure exactly what would have happened. Cyrax doesn't really have any assets to his name. He doesn't really have anything. I guess he'd have to work a job for once in his life. I don't know if he could even accomplish that. They'd probably just keep him in prison, my best guess, or something else. I don't know. Community labor? Don't know. But I would love to see Cyrax on the side of a highway, like picking up trash and stuff, doing good things for the community and nature. You know, Cyrax could be picking up garbage. He could be helping out the community. But, you know, he's gonna instead try to make more music and become the rock star that he believes himself to be. I mean, it was only a few days ago he claimed that he was God, so that's not surprising that he's willing to go, or not willing to go, do anything else. Because he believes that this whole thing is his calling, that this entire career is worth more than anything. But while Cyrax is here in his attic talking about making music and going downstairs to fight with Sally, you know, we're gonna be continue living our own lives, my friends, and doing my shout-outs. So I want to wrap things up and shout out Smithers, The Marker Mark, Blaze Frog, Crazy Redhead, Miss Ring, Liquid Crackrax, Zig, Frogger 303, Filler, Laughing Grass, Mega Sneed, Arky, The World's Tallest Midget, Rustic Angel, Sharon, Claudio Diaz, Ramen Zombie, Gecko Namer, Miss Potato, David Grunga, Number 2, Zentoa Leagues, Majin Turtles, Finn and Aaron, Joshua Roberts, Six Cloak 9, Depressed Rabbit, Thomas Husband, Princess Keys, Sweaty Prolapse, Gunslinger Brett, Tubby Thunder, Zoro Champion of First Claw, Bucky, Oversoul, Python Caretaker Sarah, Dreadhead David, Ice Swallow, The Black Pearl, Noda Lizardman, Edward Alden Hain, Haley Cantaloupe Cakes, Nick Cliff, Atomic Renegade, Steve from Wimhaven, Evan Reed, Curse Decals, Lord Worlds, TJ Bender, James, Honda Civic, Tanis Finest, Roboto San, Bakano Sensei, Poofy Mooncakes, Mad 33s, and Dark Chocolate. Thank you guys for y'all support, and thank you, Six Cloak 9, you're amazing. Peace out, and have a good evening, everybody.